Good rising, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love, to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. It is September 2nd of 2020. The time is 8:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the early bird catches the worm, or in this case, the Phoenix dances with the dragon. The Phoenix and the Dragon are two aspects, two archetypes that I feel like are heavily associated. I really kind of relate to in my life. Of course, growing up, it was always the dragon that I related to more, and then in this past few years, it's been more so the Phoenix. But I actually kind of like to combine the two of them. I feel like the Phoenix is definitely more of the revitalizing aspects, certainly the transformative aspect, and then the dragon is like the aspect that definitely has this power and benevolence. Not that the Phoenix doesn't, but the dragon for me is like this power and benevolence that it has. But anyways, you guys didn't come to hear me talk about my philosophy on dragons and phoenixes. You came here to rise and shine with me. And I know I haven't made a video in quite a while, and that's actually precisely why I wanted to make this video. And the main theme of this one is simply how we have a tendency to stamp out our own embers. These embers being creative ideas, thoughts, ideas, passions. We have a tendency to stamp these things out. And a lot of times we don't let them manifest. Of course, I'm speaking, kind of across the board. Perhaps you aren't really good at actually following through, but I know a lot of times it's hard to follow through with these ideas, thoughts, passions, and actually manifest these things. Before I get into this, I want to give, of course, a quick shout out to my old man. Happy birthday. It is my dad's birthday today, and just wanted to give him a quick shout out. I love you so much, and I appreciate all that you've done for me. I know we've had our odds over the years, as I'm sure I'm going to have with my son one day. I'm pretty sure every father and son goes through that period, but I can definitely say for certain that I've learned so much from you, and I love our intellectual conversations, and, we keep each other sharp. So that's something I appreciate. So I love you. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day. And yeah. Guys, we're coming off a full moon in Pisces. It happened overnight for most of us. And if we look at where the moon is currently, I want to say it's at 12 degrees or 13 degrees of Pisces. Let me just go ahead and bring up the chart right quick. Yeah, the moon's actually at 13 degrees of Pisces. Of course, the full moon happened at 10 degrees of Pisces. And what a powerful full moon this was. I was already kind of feeling these energies beforehand. Whenever the moon goes into Pisces, it's definitely a very dreamy time. People usually get sleepier because Pisces energy can be a very sleepy, dreamy kind of energy. I've noticed as a Pisces moon, especially in the fourth house, that my soul just loves sleep and nap time. My soul is revitalized by the bed and just the dream state in that dream world. That's where I feel so comfortable, not gonna lie. So whenever the moon goes into this spot, everyone kind of gets a taste of that energy, right? Let alone a full moon. Essentially, we have been faced with this sort of manifestation, especially with it being at 10 degrees, right? 10 is about manifestation. It's about literally moving from the end of the cycle, from the end of the 9 to the next cycle. So it's literally a manifestation where we're cutting off the old and beginning the new. So this full moon in Pisces was literally cutting off the old dream that we felt like we were meant to achieve or meant to be a part of, and we were a part of, and now we're stepping into the new dream, the new belief, the new reality. What makes this interesting, of course, like I said, we have the sun in Virgo, which is showing us and illuminating the reality of how things are. We have Mercury over here in Virgo, at 24 degrees, just zipping forward to making trines to all this Capricorn energy. So we're definitely wanting to communicate logic in this reality, but at the same time, we're getting trines to all of this retrograde energy and Capricorn. So the reality is that our are these certain structures that we have built our life upon individually and collectively are changing forever, and we're having to be honest and have these open discussions about it. But people don't necessarily want to have these open discussions about it because it doesn't feel good. It's a little bit hard, especially with squares to the nodes that Mercury is going through right now, which are Gemini and Sagittarius respectively. It kind of makes this to be an interesting time. But this full moon in Pisces, I really do feel like was a blessing in disguise, because even though every time you do get the moon in Pisces, everyone becomes hypersensitive, especially with Neptune having been here for quite some time, and it'll continue to be here for the next several years, Neptune in Pisces. But this full moon in Pisces also featured a beautiful sextile over to Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus, which doesn't really like to be there, and it is in retrograde, but this is also bringing up an opportunity for all of us. Of course, it can kind of play out in different sectors of your life based off of what house it is, but there's this opportunity, this sort of ease actually that comes by being uncompromisingly yourself and believing in yourself uncompromisingly, believing in your true worth and your true value, and almost sort of expressing that in a sort of rebellious kind of way. It's a very electrical kind of energy. With this sextile over to Uranus, even though Uranus is retrograde, we're having to be honest with ourselves about, how we do feel about our worth and our value and our place in this world. And we have to look at what dreams we may have been following and ask ourselves if these dreams are really our dreams or if they're someone else's. Are these ideas really our ideas or if they're someone else's? That's in many ways a lot of what we're going through right now. And it can seem kind of, interesting and weird. And I think one of the major challenges that's going to come with this full moon is that even though it is a major release of this old world, because you got to think this is the last full moon in the cycle, right? We've had full moons, starting in Aries, beginning last Libra season, all the way up to now this full moon. And this is this sort of final release from that year, from that cycle. This is going to be a sort of final release. So now we're actually going to be waking up. That's the interesting thing about this full moon, is that once we come into Libra season and we get the full moon in Aries, we will actually have already woken up into the new reality that we have all collectively manifested. So, as I've said, this moon in Pisces, even though we are being faced with a reality that many of us do not want to face, there is a blessing in disguise with the sextile to Uranus. And you got to understand that Uranus is trining the sun as well. So even though we may not necessarily want to acknowledge what is being revealed to us, there is still that miracle-like aspect with the trine. I like to think of trines as sort of like these blessings. A lot of times they can be in disguise based off of what else is happening in the cosmos. And particularly, we got intense squares with, Mars, which is slowing down now in Aries, making squares over to this Capricorn energy, making squares over to Venus and Cancer. You got Mercury making squares over to the nodes. So there's certainly some challenges. And as the moon continues its transit throughout Pisces, we're going to see it make that conjunction to Neptune, which is retrograde, meaning that we actually are going to be reminded of the old story, of the old dream. Come towards the evening, later on today, on September 2nd, we're going to be sort of reminded of the old world. And there may even be temptation to kind of go back into that world. And perhaps you'll get a glimpse of that in your dreams. So pay attention to your dreams From the second to the third, you may actually get a glimpse on why you shouldn't go back to that dream, or what from that old world can you bring with you into the new world. But those are going to be some of the challenges. Now, how we overcome these challenges, like I said, it kind of depends with everyone based off of their chart and stuff. But this is just a general overall reading. The moon, once it passes over Neptune, it will make aspects to the nodes. It will square the nodes, but at the same time, it will trine over to Venus in Cancer, meaning that we have to put value into how we feel, and we have to receive our feelings. We have to truly receive our feelings and truly receive this magic. Cancer is like this beautiful portal to the rest of the zodiac. It caps off the elements, and then it starts back over with Leo at the fire. So it really is this sort of, it's a powerful energy that a lot of times is overlooked. They always are, cancers are always seen as like super emotional and stuff like that. But this Venus in Cancer, which Venus really loves to be here, mind you, this is about truly receiving our emotions and not being afraid of them, not pushing them down. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. With this moon making that trine over to Venus, is actually going to give us an opportunity to, as aspects of the old dream begin to fade and aspects of the new dream, or the new reality, because the sun's in Virgo, but as aspects of this new belief and this new magic and this new sense of mysticism and wonder, because Pisces is a very much so like a wild card kind of energy. Sometimes Pisces can get lost in the dream, but a lot of times it's actually getting lost. It's actually Pisces, interesting enough, like they may get lost in the dream and they may get lost in their own sense of things, but many times that actually leads them to having some of the greatest discoveries, or anybody with Pisces energy. So when we get this trine over to Venus, this is going to be an opportunity for us to really receive our emotions. One good practice that you might want to try is to find one of those like crosswords, like one of those crossword puzzles or whatever like that, that have like different emotions and states of being on them, and then look for like the first few words that pop out to you, and then kind of focus on those words and ask yourself, why am I drawn to these words, and how can I receive these emotions? Here's the thing, though. The quicker that you actually receive and accept the way that you feel about something, the quicker it will be for you to move through it and move past it. It's pretty simple as that. And it's not, it sounds simple, but it's not always simple in practice. It's like you can feel mad about something, but you can deny that you're mad about it. But then that doesn't mean that anger disappears. It just transforms into something else, or it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it releases, and then you find yourself in a situation that you would rather not be in. So that's really what we have going on for today with Rise and Shine with the Fenixx. Coming off of this full moon, I certainly wish you all the best this morning. I wish you all a wonderful day ahead. And to end this off, I am going to draw a card. Let's see, I'm going to pick literally a random deck of cards to pull from. And it looks like we actually have the Sacred Travelers Oracle card deck that I'm just going to just pull a random card from. And let's see what we have going on for today. I have an alarm on my phone that's getting ready to go off. I had this alarm set for 8:22 a.m. That's the time that I was born at, so that I really acknowledge that time as sacred and divine. And I think everybody should have an alarm on their phone for what time they were born at. I know some of y'all were born in the middle of the night, so it might be a little bit harder for y'all to do that, but I think it's still powerful to acknowledge the time of your birth. So any way that you can do that, mine just happens to work out where it's in the morning. I can do it that way. So, and my intention going forward, if I am to continue doing these Rise and Shines, is to do it right, a little bit before That birth time. Oh, so y'all can hear that, right? My intention is to do it pretty much before my alarm goes off, and then around the time that my alarm goes off, that's when the broadcast will conclude. So we went about 15 minutes. This is not bad. I haven't been making videos that long, and I can clearly see that I'm a little rusty. It's kind of like a muscle, you know. If you don't work it, then it begins to atrophy. So that goes for anything in life. So as I was saying in the beginning of this, you know, I was thinking about embers and how the embers can be really beautiful, but sometimes we can stamp them out and then they don't really become like that roaring fire or that ablaze. And those embers, of course, can be dreams, they can be ideas, they can be wants, desires, passions, right? And why do we stamp out them? Why do we stamp out these ideas? Why do we stamp out these embers? I think a lot of times because we're afraid of how big it may become, that maybe we'll be engulfed by the flames. I think a lot of times it really is just our own doubts because we don't trust ourselves and we don't believe that we can actually do something different, that we actually can change our life. And a lot of times it takes just the simplest of actions. A lot of times it only takes 5, 10, 15 minutes to really change our life. And we just do that every single day. And we don't have to stamp out those embers. We can actually let it grow naturally and become what it is to become. And when we allow that process to happen, we will find that we never really had anything to worry about. So that's really the message I want to get across in this particular episode, to not stamp out your, not just don't stamp out your inspiration. Allow it to actually come forth naturally. Allow it to come forth naturally. The card of the day that we have is, what a beautiful card to have, Grace and Gratitude. Through gratitude, joy expands. You know, we have, like I said, we have a tendency a lot of times to stamp out our inspirations and our motivations and not allow those fires to really come forth, not allow them to really manifest them, whether they be ideas or, like I said, wants, passions. But being grateful to even have the signal, I think, is really important. Where you have to ask yourself, where did that idea come from? Where did that passion come from? You know, where did that inspiration, where did that motivation, where did that fire, where did that energy come from in the first place? You were graced with it because you were a match to it. That's the only reason why you were able to experience it. And because you were a match to it, that means that you can take that and make it into something more. You can take that and then make it into something that will be beyond your wildest dreams. And just holding the space and being grateful for that moment, you will see that your joy will naturally expand. You will see that your joy will naturally expand. If you are a match if you get an idea to, let's just give an example. If you get an idea to start your own business, that thought, where did that thought come from? You have to ask yourself that. Where did the thought come from? But you also have to ask yourself, I was a match to that thought. So because I was a match to that thought, what is really possible here? You take that first step, you don't stamp out those embers, and you allow that fire to grow naturally. And that fire will become sustaining. It will give you energy. It will give you life. And it will give you a breath of fresh air, believe it or not. Your joy will expand in that moment. Anyways, that's going to be it for this Rise and Shine with the Fenixx on today, September 2nd of 2020. The time is 8:26. I will see you all on the next video. I hope that you all have a lovely and blessed day. Take care, and we'll see you very soon.